This video is designed to assist you in the initial setup of the blade and blade holder in your Mimaki cutter or integrated printer cutter. This is the standard Mimaki blade and blade holder. In order to access the blade, simply turn the top cap anti-clockwise and remove it. It's important that you ensure there's no debris in and around the blade housing and bearing. The removable blade fits into a small circular bearing which allows it to swivel smoothly. Ensure the blade is fully seated, and if the blade doesn't swivel smoothly, replace the blade holder. Refit the top cap so it's fully screwed up to the end stop. This is the standard Mimaki SPC 0030 blade. The blade tip should be intact, so if there's damage to the blade, you should replace it with a new one. Adjust the blade and holder to set the amount the blade protrudes. This is achieved by winding the aluminium adjuster at the top of the blade holder, turning it clockwise to increase or anti-clockwise to reduce the amount of blade. You only require just enough blade to cut through the material, which generally will only be 70 to 200 microns thick. The simplest way to set the blade is to visually check that only a very small amount of blade protrudes from the end of the holder. This is approximately half the thickness of a credit card. Then, on a piece of vinyl, manually cut a circle, keeping the holder upright and maintaining light, constant pressure. Weed it, and if the blade hasn't cut through the vinyl or has cut into the backing sheet, adjust the blade depth and try again. Alternatively, score a line in the vinyl and check the cut depth. When you're happy with the setup, place the blade and holder into the cutter head and screw the adjuster holder up finger tight. This shows the blade holder installed on a Mimaki printer cutter. If you're using a standalone Mimaki cutter, ensure the blade holder is installed in the correct position for either kiss cutting or die cutting. Here, the blade holder has been set in the rear position. Now, carry out the test cut. Test cut cuts a square within a square. Weed out the squares, checking that cut weeds cleanly and the corners are square. Check the blade has not cut too deeply and has only made a slight indentation into the backing sheet. For a more detailed test, perform the sample cut, which incorporates more complex shapes than the test cut. As before, weed the vinyl to see the result. If the blade isn't cutting cleanly, you may need to increase the cutting pressure. Typical pressure for a standard vinyl range is between 40 and 70 grams. It's worth noting that when cutting vinyl with an overlaminate, cutting pressures will need to increase to between 90 and 130 grams. Adjust the blade depth accordingly and recheck using the test cut until you can cut cleanly without cutting through the backing sheet.